You're waiting for your coffee. A woman glances at you. A minute later, she smiles as you move aside to let her reach the counter. Before either of you leaves, you exchange one ordinary sentence. Years later, that's the part many men remember. Looking back, though, it probably wasn't the smile that mattered. The signs you can trust are usually much quieter. 1. The attention that keeps coming back. You're sitting alone in a cafe. People drift in and out. A barista calls another name. Someone opens a laptop near the window. Across the room, a woman looks your way. By the time you notice, she's already looking somewhere else. A few minutes later, it happens again. The glance isn't unusual. The return is. Our attention lands on countless things every day, but it rarely keeps returning without a reason. Long before people understand what they're feeling, their attention often makes the decision first. It doesn't prove attraction, very little does. But looking back, repeated attention is one of the few quiet moments that usually deserves your trust. 2. The smile that isn't enough. You're leaving the grocery store. Another shopper reaches the door at the same time. She smiles, steps aside, and waves you through. It's a pleasant moment. Because nothing else happens, it stays in your memory longer than it probably should. Kindness has a way of doing that. Some people smile because they're friendly, some because they're polite. Some simply don't like making ordinary moments feel awkward. The smile isn't the important part. What happened after is. Did she find another reason to interact? Or did the moment end exactly where everyday courtesy usually ends? Looking back, you may have remembered the smile. She may have forgotten it before she reached her car. 3. She remembers something you forgot. A few weeks ago, you mentioned your sister was moving. It wasn't the subject of the conversation, just something you said while everyone waited for the meeting to begin. Today, as people gather their things, she asks how the move went. For a second, you're caught off guard. You barely remember mentioning it. Most conversations disappear within days. The small details that survive usually stay attached to people who quietly held our attention. Remembering one detail doesn't guarantee attraction, but it almost always reveals genuine interest. Sometimes the smallest thing someone remembers tells you more than the biggest compliment they could have given. 4. Laughter can fool you. You're having dinner with friends. You make a small joke without thinking. She laughs harder than you expected. On the drive home, that's the moment you replay. The trouble is that laughter belongs to many emotions. Some people laugh because they're amused, some because they're nervous, some because making other people comfortable simply comes naturally to them. The laugh by itself tells you very little. The better question is, what happened after everyone stopped laughing? Did she keep finding her way back into the conversation? Or did the moment end with the joke? Looking back, the laughter was probably the easiest part to remember. The meaning, if there was any, came afterward. 5. She quietly chooses your orbit. You're waiting for a meeting to begin. People are taking seats wherever they happen to find one. There are plenty of empty chairs. She walks in. Without making anything of it, she sits near you. You hardly notice. Then it happens again a few days later. At lunch, she ends up beside you. At another meeting, she's standing in the same small group. One moment means very little. A pattern deserves a second look. People often move toward the people who make them feel comfortable, long before they realize they're doing it. Long before they realize they're doing it. Looking back, it probably wasn't one chair you remembered. It was how often she quietly chose the one near yours. 6. Closeness doesn't always mean anything. Now picture a crowded elevator. The doors open. Everyone squeezes inside. For a few floors, she's standing close enough that your shoulders almost touch. It feels memorable. But sometimes closeness belongs to the room, not the people inside it. The same thing happens on busy trains, in checkout lines, at crowded concerts. Nobody really gets to choose the distance. The better question comes later. When there was finally space to move, what happened? Did she naturally step away? Or did she stay close anyway? Looking back, the crowd created the first moment. Her choice created the second. 7. She finds one more reason to talk. You're leaving a bookstore after a community event. The conversation has reached its natural end. You smile. She smiles. You both start walking away. Then she asks one more question. Nothing important, just enough to keep the conversation alive. Most people let a pleasant conversation end when it's over. People enjoying someone's company often don't. They find one more question, one more observation, one more excuse to share another minute together. Interest rarely arrives with a grand gesture. More often, it quietly asks the conversation not to end just yet. 8. Fast replies aren't evidence. Your phone buzzes. You send a message. She replies almost immediately. The next day, she does the same. It feels encouraging, but speed is one of the easiest things to overvalue. Some people answer everyone quickly. Some always have their phone nearby. Some simply dislike leaving messages unanswered. The reply itself isn't the story. The pattern is. Did she return after the conversation naturally faded? Did she remember where you left off? Did she create reasons to talk when she didn't need to? Fast replies are easy to notice. The conversations that keep finding their way back are much harder to forget. 9. She delays the goodbye. Dinner is over. The plates are gone. Jackets come off the backs of chairs. Everyone is already talking about where they're headed next. You say goodbye. Then, just before you leave, she turns back. Maybe she asks how far you have to drive. Maybe she remembers one last thing she meant to tell you. Maybe she simply says, "It was really nice talking to you." It's only a few extra seconds. Most people let a moment end once it's over. When someone quietly creates one last reason to stay connected, even briefly, that ending is often more revealing than the conversation itself. Looking back, she may not have remembered everything you said. She remembered that she wasn't ready for the moment to end. 10. Nervousness isn't enough. You're introduced at a friend's birthday dinner. She smiles politely. Later, while everyone is talking, you notice she seems quieter whenever you're nearby. Once or twice, she quickly looks away when your eyes meet. It's easy to think you found the answer. Maybe she was nervous because she liked you. Maybe. But nervousness belongs to many emotions: shyness, stress, social anxiety, even simple exhaustion. One moment can never explain another person. Only patterns can. If her attention kept returning, if she kept choosing your company, if she kept finding one more reason to continue the conversation, then the nervousness becomes part of something larger. Without those quieter patterns, it's simply one moment asking to carry more meaning than it can. Most men don't replay old memories because they missed something obvious. They replay them because one hopeful moment became louder than all the ordinary ones around it. A smile, a laugh, a quick reply, a nervous glance. Those are the moments that stay in memory first. But the moments you can actually trust are usually the ones that repeat. The attention that keeps coming back, the details she remembered weeks later, the chair she kept choosing, the goodbye she wasn't quite ready to finish. Maybe that's why someone came to mind while you were watching this. Not because she gave one unforgettable sign, but because, looking back, she quietly gave the same one more than once. If you enjoyed this episode, we put together a guide called 25 Forbidden Signals She's Into You. It isn't about dramatic gestures. It's about the quiet patterns people often overlook until years later. The link is in the description.